only time I could remember where I was that impulsive, and that I got locked up because of that same impulsive sort of anger, and I was even more in trouble in jail because of the same anger.
So 16 was when the anger started.
I would say that's when it was becoming explosive to the point where it was affecting my life, where it became such a problem that I had to go to jail. I mean, the anger was not, well, it wasn't physically violent in the sense that I hurt someone, but I did. I hurt someone. I hurt their business. I hurt their
So at
want.
16 years old, what was happening at home?
Oh, um, well, I just had a oopsie kid. Things were not going good with my chick because I was young. I wanted to do other things. Um,
Violence in the home? Mom, dad,
yeah,
siblings?
my dad used to hit me when he was young, when I was young. But my dad was a very my dad is a good person, but he's a violent person. In other words, his answer is discipline by force.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom is pretty much the same. But I would say that my mom is stricter but less violent physically. My dad is less violent. So in both of them, like I have memories where they both physically hurt me to the point where I was really hurt. I
So you,
mean, not disabled, but
so you probably picked it up from your dad and also by two genes,
yeah,
genetics,
the anger. Yeah, my dad's a
heredity, genetics, and also the exposure of that. And then, of course, being 16, things are intense with the gal. Okay, so until this present day, what triggers the anger?
um. uh, So another person like me, like maybe they think they're tough. I may look like I'm tough, but a lot of people get intimidated by the way that I look. But they don't realize that I'm not the way that I look. I'm just me. But that look is very intimidating to a lot of people, and sometimes these guys they want to be the tougher person, or they want to act out in front of the girl, or whatever the case is. That's usually the issue. But it doesn't happen often. But if it does, like happened about a couple of days ago, where he wasn't a tough guy, but the point is that I took it there, and I shouldn't have.
If you wear those glasses, it never happened.
Right.
See the glasses he's wearing?
They're for reading. Well, actually, I can see pretty good in them. Like
If,
overall.
but if you wear those glasses, it diffuses people. It's pink.
Oh, it's orange and pink.
How could someone
See,
how could
look.
someone challenge another human being if
Yeah.
they're wearing pink glasses?
I just got these at random. Look, they match your guys' robe. How cool. Um, yeah, thank you. Yeah. So I mean, it's just that. I mean, and in use, I mean, I don't really care. But if they come up to me or they say something dumb, I also don't care now because I'm prepared more from what we spoke about. Even reflecting in quarantine myself, I was thinking about. Well, I just have to make pretend that they're either talking a different language or that they're, like I don't have to react to anything. I don't have. I mean, that's not a necessary component of the experience. I can sit there and just be an observer,
Mm.
and that's and but Mara, don't start your stuff. But I just have to be ready when the Maras are thrown at me. Just to
It's a rare thing when Mara strikes without warning. That is to the mind that is lost. For example, traffic and road rage. They drive, someone cuts off in front of them, they instantly become angry. Because in the moment of driving, they're in la la land. So the activating event is someone coming over to the lane, and that automatically triggers the anger that has been on the list to be resolved, but they were not moment to moment mindful of what's unfolding, what's happening. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm. Yes.
So it comes quick. Mara infiltrated their mind, the mind of that driver, in a flash of a lightning of a second.
Mm-hmm.
For us Buddhists, we monitor our breathing. Kind of like in a hospital, all the stuff that measures your vital signs. A mindfulness person is always monitoring themselves, their body, and their mind. Ever vigilant, self-correcting institution. Auto correction. But you know when a car is getting stupid. We can spot a stupid car a mile away. Many times. If we were traffic cops, we would clean up the city within one day. With stupidity.
Because you already know.
Stupidity on the road. Because of how mindful we are. And we can tell when someone is not vigilant, not alert, when they're playing on their phone, when they're asleep, when they're arguing in the car. You just watch the wheels, how they jerk. And you just watch the movement of the car in accordance to the speed limit. We can clean up we can promise the police chief, we can clean up the city in 12-hour shift.
Wow. Not even a day. One shift.
We would dish out tickets in 12-hour shift with the technology they have now.
Wow.
You find the fault, you take the ID, you swipe it, it prints, they sign, goodbye.
Right.
Yeah, they got printers in their cars. Okay. So you have to be that mindful so that you cannot say, it's convenient to say Mara creeped up on, and for those who don't know, Mara in Buddhism, Mara is psychological demon. Which is your psychological demon, your psychological mind, the greed, the anger, and the ignorance that creeps up on you. That's called Mara, M-A-R-A.
Mara.
So you have to train yourself to the point where you know when your breathing changes and when certain feelings started to inch closer and closer. I said our whole life is pleasant. So if I turn off the AC in this room right now, it would be quite unpleasant. So people start getting irate, angry, agitated, irritated, impatient, because it went through their whole system of review that of personal preference. I don't like this room. I don't like it when it's hot. I don't, a lot of I statements, right? Practice of the non-self. So again, and then, we crave what is pleasant, like sex and chocolate and food and sleep and everything else. So therefore, you have to take, maybe we're doing things a little too quick. If you look, when we do things too quick, we're prone to make mistakes. When it's too quick, we can't catch it fast enough and in time. And so many people make this type of mistakes. Even politicians or people who hold the microphone a little too quick. They're quick to jump to conclusions. They're quick to do things. They drive too quick. They speak too quick. They do things too quick. So it doesn't give them a chance to be mindful of the little details in between. That's how we make mistakes. Now, monks' actions, when you look at our actions, incomparable to lay people, is that we are supposed to be more disciplined. We are to walk with grace and patience, walk with dignity, walk with a lot of patience, so that people can emulate that patience. So they're like, wow. So you remember when Venerable Lee was walking on the beach, mindfulness walking? All of a sudden, it captured so many attention. People, we're all in orange, so you can't miss this two orange figures running around the beach. And you notice that when he started mindfully walking, which is basically just walking really slow, it captured everyone's attention. They were like, oh my God. Like, a God has appeared on the beach. And as I was taking the video, other people were also taking the video. It means that it meant something to them. It was profound.
Yeah.
It was something out of the ordinary that they want. I'm pretty sure in their mind they want to emulate because they're like, I move so quick. This man looks so peaceful. The compare and contrast in their mind is, this man looks so peaceful. He's not in a rush. How come he looks so peaceful?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what Thich Nhat Hanh said, peace with every step.
Thich Nhat Hanh, that's how you say his name?
Yes.
I recognized it as soon as you said it, but I couldn't say it. How do you say it one more time?
Thich Nhat Hanh.
Thich Nhat Hanh.
Yeah.
Thich Nhat Hanh.
So he said peace with every step, and that's exactly what it means. You know, Venerable Lee and myself, I need to practice more with him, and that means taking off these little Crocs that we're wearing and kissing the earth with our feet, like the grass and the sand and the dirt, and really just absorb. And I sent you that research about the foot thing, right?
What does the research say?
So when we wear shoes, we're not able to get all the, the
electromagnetic field from the earth.
Wow.
right
Boom.
that
Healing
allows,
properties.
pass through our body when we wear shoes. It blocks that out, and they've actually done tests with, they had a little tester where when the shoe's in the way, there was no light. When the shoe is not there,
Wow.
the light comes on, and it's like Venerable said, it adds a lot of healing properties, and a lot of natural body functions and flows are able to do their job better.
Wow. So one of the things, if I may, when I notice that naturally for myself, because I always feel comfortable with my shoes off. Like, doesn't matter where I'm at. And then my mom always goes, put your shoes on. But that was the fight when I was, because I just feel more natural with my feet on the ground.
How about we feel natural with no clothes on?
Right. Yes,
because
I know.
because we were born without clothes. We're not supposed to wear clothes.
Right.
It was law that says we
Right.
have to wear clothes. Okay, by the way, I'm recording live. I'm not trying to promote nudism, and do not run around the streets naked at the time of this talk. Okay, it's illegal. Don't do it. Again, it's our biology, right, and history and anthropology. That back in the day we were apes running around, you know, millions of years. So therefore, yeah. So, but now you need shoes to not step on nails, and foot injuries are prevalent in the U.S. every year. But the point is that to slow down, to cultivate that patience. Now, if you think about your situation, there's nothing really that requires urgency.
No.
But yet you're always urgent. Get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be urgent.
Mm.
I want to move as slow as a turtle. And lately, things have slowed down, which is thank God, because fundings ran out, and so we had no choice but to slow down. Maybe it's a gift from karma to say, chill. You've been at this for 8 years. Chill. And I have. Running around with my speaker and my microphones around town, spreading the teachings.
Wonderful.
And always last minute, and always just hectic. Just one man can't. He can, but he's just hectic. One man can do it by himself, but it's just hectic. But you have to ask yourself if there's anything that is pressing and urgent in your life that requires your attention all the time. But I mean, so you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
The anger stems from not getting what we want. Eventually, it boils down to I get angry because I don't get what I want, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm. So in the case of my situation, then it would probably, in that instant, it would probably have to be respect, maybe. So it's not a tangible thing per se, but it is a state of emotion, which is...
Right. In those moments, you say to yourself in your head, the story that you have created in your head is, I want this guy to respect me. Or I don't feel that he is respecting me right now in this moment.
Right.
And that's when it's like, oh, I feel challenged. So since you have the capability, the capacity to challenge another human, you can and you will. You know, for someone like us who is short and Asian, we tend not to we tend to, try to, do spinning back kick and try to show them what we're really made of.
Yeah.
We don't want to challenge people, but the Buddha wouldn't want us to do that anyways.
Yeah,
but
correct.
but the root of it all, besides the neurological aspect of it, in Buddhism, the traces of anger is not getting what you want.
Okay.
And we have a lot of wants and expectations. The want is followed with expectations. The expectation attaches onto the wants, and it goes into the subconscious. So therefore, in all sorts of ways, like if I walked into your place with my shoes on, you would be irritated.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I left the toilet seat up or down,
Mm-hmm.
you would be irritated, because that was your original preference, and that's not what you want. I want people to take off their shoes. I want my ex to do the dishes after you eat pizza. I want the temperature at 70 degrees. So therefore, it's all these accumulated wants that sums up to it just runs in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And when things are out of order, out of place, especially people with OCD, they throw a fit, like the biggest fit in the world. Like it's the end of the world because you moved their pen 2 inches to the left. Control. I want my belongings to stay still. I want all of it in the corner. It's so much. It's so complicated.
Ego, yeah.
They just make their life more complicated. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you're seeing it now clearly, but to see the detrimental effects of where it could lead and how it could lead. Because the emergency room makes a lot of money every year over people every year. You go in there and you talk to the ER doctor, like, "What's up, doc? Can I ask you something? How many people get into fights and they wind up in here? Especially on the weekend, after they're drunk." So loving kindness and walking meditation is very potent at keeping the anger issue at hand.
Walking meditation, okay. The one that we did.
Which is
okay.
Right.
Good. All right.
We teach you once, you practice 10 times.
Yeah, got it. Looks like today will be a good day for that. Every day is a good day for that.
Are you ready?
Sure.
So at this time, Venerable Lee has been taking a lot of notes on the Noble Eightfold Path. And so he's going to tell you all a few of those Noble Eightfold Paths as part of his practice and training. So we can always use reminders of the Noble Eightfold Path. So Venerable Lee, you can take the stage whenever you like.
All right, so last Sunday we spoke about right view, if I'm not mistaken, which is the first out of the 8. Last night, studying quite a bit, trying to remember them. First one would be right view, then it's right thought or intention. Following that, it is right speech. Fourth one would be right action. Fifth one would be, what was it? View.
You wrote it down.
I don't know, I'm trying to remember.
Okay. Action.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
So 1 is right view, 2 would be right thought or intention, 3 would be right speech, following that would be right action, right livelihood, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So right thought or intention, pretty much what we've been talking about this morning too, can tie in with that, about the thoughts. We have around 70,000 thoughts each day. It's a lot of thoughts going on. And like Venerable said, we have to be very mindful of our thoughts. I remember Venerable saying when I first came to him in some of his first Sunday services, he used to say, we must be careful of what we say when we are around other people, and we must be mindful of our thoughts when we are alone. We must take care of our thoughts when we are alone.
I do remember that.
You can move that box too with
Yeah.
your feet. It's empty. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, Julius.
Morning, Julius. Morning.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I believe, as you were saying the other night at dinner, you found it interesting how the Noble Eightfold Path, each one is connected with the next.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Yeah, like strings of pearl.
Right. So, upon studying and researching, it's also that when we get one down, master one, move on to the next, the one we just mastered does not fall away, does not go away. It adds to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, compounds. Yeah, wow.
So, as we move throughout the Eightfold Path, and we get one down, right, let's say right view, we move on to right thought. It's not just a one and done. It's constantly always being practiced, trying to be made better, and we move on to the next and the next and the next. It doesn't mean that the prior ones fall away and we don't use them anymore.
Wow.
They don't always have to be followed in the sequential order, but at the same time we need to be mindful of each one that we're doing. Sometimes throughout the day we might need to practice one a little bit more than another, but no matter what, they all basically will absorb into each other and make all of them stronger, and go through them skillfully, mindfully, and right thought. Let's see what I have in my notes here. This was very good. This said, so right thought is the removal of attachment and aversion.
Oh, okay, version, yeah.
The Buddha said, all experience is preceded by the mind, led by the mind, and made by the mind.
Wow.
Speak or act with a corrupted mind, and suffering follows as the wagon wheel follows the hoof of the ox.
That was a good one.
Speak or act with a peaceful mind, and happiness follows like a never departing shadow. So that's why we have to be very careful with our thoughts, because like we spoke about the other day, something happens, and whether we act on it or how we react to it can be very good or it can be very bad. So when thoughts arise, we have to be mindful of them, we have to catch them, and we have to stop and think for a second. Act. Should I do anything? Is this going to be good for everybody who's involved? Is it going to be, what is it going to be down the road to the mind? So that's why right thought it's a pretty important one, because we have so many thoughts each day, and if we are blind to what we are thinking and our thoughts, it can get us into some big trouble. Right thought is also known as right intention as well.
Oh, okay.
It's having the right intent when doing something, right thinking and right intent. Removal of greed and attachment. Considering the undesirable consequences of sense pleasures.
One more time?
considering the undesirable consequences of sense pleasures.
Oh wow. Considering them, wow, yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Senses being eyes, ears, smell, touch, taste. Some examples of right thought that would be good, correct right thought, or the thoughts of renunciation, the thoughts of I may need to borrow that.
Alright. So we got each other.
And thinking is, what is our intention?
Hmm.
When we're about to do something or say something, what is the intent behind it? Is it,
Would that be the same as motive? Sort of?
yeah,
Like what's your motive? You know?
yeah.
Like
yeah,
kind of a
intention, motive, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, what is the deeper reason behind what we're doing? Why are we doing it? So, thoughts of desire, ill will, and harmfulness will lead to harm for oneself and others, obstruct wisdom, and lead away from nirvana. Thoughts of renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness conductive to the growth of wisdom and help towards nirvana. It also says intention of renunciation, using the mind to resist the pull of desire. Intention of compassion, mind to resist anger and aversion, and intention of harmlessness, compassion to all living beings.
That's good. That's good. Going to relieve Venerable Lee from the noble full path.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
This
for
is
that.
quite impressive for someone who's been just ordained in less than 6 months. To sit here and compose all of this together as
Yeah.
best as he can. Mind you all, certain
Thank you.
teachers will not let certain people teach for years. Years, but Venerable Lee is quite exceptional and very on point, staying on top of this. I passed out last night. He was still up taking notes. The notes that you see there. Can I see that? No, these notes right
Yeah,
there.
that started here.
Wow.
For all of the. In order to remember. Oh, look at this. This is why we record live. Reporting live, CNN, Venerable Chidao. So, hell, I don't even remember this. I don't. That's why I have a cheat sheet, because I'm old and slow. But he wrote the Noble Eightfold Path like 20 times. Literally 20 times. 20 times. See it for yourself.
Wow. Okay. I'll give you a trick. I remember them later.
You know, I feel like a bishop that has been before ordination as a bishop in the Catholic world, the decree and order from, I don't know, I guess the Pope, like they have this humongous document and like they walk around the church and they let everyone see all the signatures and of the Holy See and representatives of the Holy See. So yeah,
Wow.
he stayed up
Okay.
last night and writing all of this over and over again. It's no different than how I did it. Oh, it's funny, both of us have ADHD and we had to make it work. So we know when people give excuses about, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Well, that includes us too. At every talk I've had, I said the amount of notes that I've taken is from the floor that you're stepping on all the way to the ceiling. That's the amount of notes that I've taken, which resides right here in this office. I dig through in there, in those drawers in there. Okay, so let me go back to the intention thing, right? Venerable Lee indicated that thoughts of renouncing, giving up, thoughts of goodwill and harmlessness are beneficial. Thoughts of renunciation, giving up the anger, giving up the greed, giving up. And that's what it means. It doesn't mean to like be one of us. It doesn't mean to like. But renunciation means to give up the bad habits. Drop it like a bad habit. Remember that saying? Drop it like a bad habit. To resolve it once and for all. In particularly, since you and I started off this conversation while waiting for Julius on the subject of anger, at one point in my life, it was scary. My dad, who sits right behind here, a very enlightened man. Not in the Buddhist sainthood enlightenment, but a very enlightened. We all knew in the family that he has the art of reading people. He can literally glance a human for like a couple minutes and he got your whole full life story in minutes. So, of course, I'm going to ask him, the Buddha that he is in my eyes. I go, so what's wrong with me? And he said, your eyes, they're too bright. And I said, oh, shoot. What does that mean? I'm a dumb kid. What does that mean? He says, a lot of anger in your eyes. So I run to the mirror, right? And I kind of like look at myself in the mirror. He wasn't wrong. My eyes were like this.
Oh.
It was like this. It was very vigilant. It was too vigilant. He wasn't wrong because later in my life, when I started analyzing eyeballs out there in society, I noticed certain people who were just doink. Like, it's too bright. It's literally like a spotlight. It's literally like a spotlight.
Wow.
And they're very quick to, most of them are lawyers and impatient doctors. And like, you just like sneeze wrong, they'll catch it. You breathe wrong, they can catch it. Because they're in on one particular subject, individual. And then of course, then there are detectives who don't have the spotlight, so they have to really like, when they're interviewing suspects, they have to like, you know what I mean? Try to make the cone into a spot. Okay. So I said, oh, damn. He says, your eyes are too bright. Anger. And then he says, you know, son, it's like the light bulb. When it's burning too hot, it tends to just pop. And I was like, oh, shit. So every morning when I brush my teeth, I look at myself in the mirror, and I actually basically scared myself. Now I have insight about myself. Wisdom arises out of insight into yourself. So when the teacher tells you something about yourself, take it very seriously. And at that moment, my dad was my teacher. I looked up to him, and he is qualified to give such interpretations on humans because so many people respected him. And back in the day, this office was at home. Our house was so big that there was a room dedicated. He worked at a home. And there were just so many people that came by. Police officers, lawyers, doctors that sat there to listen to him. So he gave wise advice. So every morning I brush my teeth and I realize I need to give this up. I want to give it up. I'm going to give it up. 3 things you say to yourself. I see the problem. I want to get rid of the problem. And I'm going to get rid of the problem. So, but it didn't resolve overnight. Throughout my whole life, I dated, in relationships, I get angry, I throw things. And I put the love and kindness music on, the chant of metta. The same music I played over and over again in all previous Sundays. And I basically hone in on it. So mindfulness of listening to the music. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be healthy. Okay? May I be healthy. Because anger causes your blood pressure to spike. May I be healthy? May I not take amlodipine 500 milligrams? Okay. Um, for years, for 10 years, I treated my anger. Then to your left are books on anger. Some of those books is The Angry Mind. And then I learned that not everyone has a perfect brain, that certain neurons and electrons and protons fire faster than most people, most humans, most neurologies. And I realized, okay, so I think fast, I do things fast, that's why I get angry fast. I got it. So I need to slow my ass down. I need to slow my ass down. I will slow my ass down. And thus, I slow my ass down. Okay? So it is an affirmative, clear, concise decision that this will be made. And that's how you learn to trust yourself. You see the flaw, you make an affirmative resolve. And damn it, you resolve it. So now when I take pictures and I analyze them very closely, especially the eyes, to see and detect the existence of any residual anger that is left or could come back. In case you all ever wonder what is in the mind of a mindful teacher, that's what he's mindful of. And that's why I do that. Now you get to see active explanation and active current resolve in the process of resolving. But forest monks, they don't tell you this. They just run into the forest and they just sit there and they're screening for the same thing. They're screening their entire body, system, and mind to see if it's within the Noble Eightfold Path. If their life is within the Noble Path. And that's what's so profound when they sit inside. It's amazing for me to travel to Vietnam at Dalat City, trying to find a Theravadan monastery. I remember I was younger and I told my aunt, I said, I need you to take me to the monastery, the temple, where their arms are sticking out. Because like 80%, 90% is Mahayanans. And I'm like, I don't want you to take me where they wear full dark brown. They look scary. I need to see the people with the arms sticking out. And lo and behold, we went to Dalat City. And there was this one monk that sat in the midst of tourists running back and forth. He just chose a tree a little bit elevated and just sat there in gold robes. And I was like, I wonder what the hell he's thinking about. I'm trying to buy stuff. And all of a sudden, his image, his presence, well, stopped me and it stopped everybody else. So you have to know how to hone in on certain moments, trying to teach you things. And that it taught me. It taught me to stop. In the midst of running around like a chicken with no head, I realized, stop. And I just looked at him. And I was just like, interesting. The man sits in silence, alert, intelligent. How wakeful. He has learned to stop when I have not. That image never left my mind. And I made it a firm resolve to learn to sit. Then, of course, along the way, listening to other monks talk, they said, with those who can't sit still, we have a problem. We have a big problem, said other venerables in both traditions. And I was like, oh, okay. And then, of course, back to my dad, where he says, do you have a nail or a needle or something sticking up your ass? Because you could never seem to sit still. Like, you have a needle underneath your butt or something? Because people who can't sit still just got to get up all the time. Well, if you're sitting on a nail, it's not comfy. So I was like, so some, but the why speaks one sentence, and you sit on that sentence for like a whole 6 months to a year, meditating on why they say you cannot sit still. And so I hope for you to learn. I don't know about Julius. Julius, maybe you sit too long because you're on the computer. You see the middle way here? One can't sit still, one sits a little too long, and then sleep a little too late. The extreme of the spectrum. Okay. So you have to hone in on the middle way of it. Any questions so far?
Thank you.
Yeah. And it's a good thing. So when you come to us with the existence of one of the poisons in Buddhism, greed, anger, delusion, greed, anger, ignorance, our job is to administer medicine of loving kindness and explanation of wisdom and intelligence and information. Our information is truth. Our information is medicine. It varies per human that comes along the way. Sometimes we inject this medicine by through oral transmission and it penetrates and it resolves quickly. That's a rare thing. We call that, I call that IV. IV level administration of the Dhamma. But sometimes it doesn't take effect, so we have to kind of sprinkle you. Sprinkle you. Topical ointment of the Dhamma. And hopefully that is absorbed in the bloodstream slowly through your thick skin and into the bloodstream. Because years of conditioning have led you to where we are. And I said we, right? All of us. I just so happens to try to figure it out. It was not a good thing. My anger was when the fit that I threw and the hell that I created in the midst of those anger was tormenting. It tormenting. Left unchecked, now we see the types of evil that it morphed and evolved into the criminology world. There's this book called The New Evil, and I'm afraid to read it. It's because it literally classifies stages and numbers of evil from like typical torment to like the really extreme torment. And I'm just like, wow, I was really angry. But then that anger kind of just sits deep. The anger resolves their blood to no longer red. Like when these people bleed, they bleed black blood. You know what I'm saying? When you read the stories of these types of evils, and anyone can look this up on YouTube. You know, The New Evil by, I forgot the author's name, but it's a book with like two really scary eyes. But this one dude took these women. One of them got away with like 60 murders. He got away with it. He died before they found out anything. But he would like have this trailer, soundproof trailer, so when they scream, no one can hear them. And he would like tie them, rape them, torture them in all different ways. Let your imagination take you where it's going to take you in regards to the torment of these humans. They have the type of evil that like chop off people's heads, chop off body parts, freezes them, preserves them so he can look at them every day. That type of evil. But again, if we were to trace the links of influence, it starts deep down as a little kid. They never got this type of medicine that we're talking about. So then eventually, once the blood turns into the color of that couch, I've seen it. I've seen murder. No, not like the active process of killing, but murderers. I've seen murderers. Okay. And for the one old guy, he sits in my journal. His name. I can't remember his name. I'll go back to my journal. I'll find it. But there's Giorgio, and there's the old guy. And I'll repeat the story again. Giorgio, during a drug transaction, stabbed 6 people. I've seen the police report. Because he came to me so nice. He's like, "Hi, how are you?" And I was like, "Hi, I'm an interpreter. I frequent the courthouse and the jail to meet with defendants and to help the attorneys get information to help them. How about you?" He's like, yeah, I killed 6 people. And I said, no, you didn't, because you look really nice and you don't strike me. There's no energy here that I could feel that you're a murderer. And he says, "I'll be right back." He came back, gave me the charge report. And I'm like, "That's you?" I said, "Okay, well, here you go. So what's your story like?" Because sometimes we wait for the deputy to find the inmate, or they have to clear, and sometimes I'm just standing there. It's funny. Sometimes they just let me loose around the jail. I think there was, maybe I shouldn't say that. Well, actually, it's more secure now. So, but there was one time where they just swiped my ID and they're like, "There you go," and I like just walked by myself to like the second floor. Like, so is someone gonna like escort me? The metal detector didn't even work. Just like walk right through. So I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna walk around with a visitor's ID, and then so you have a lot of people come up to. It's weird. They just come up to me, like, I'm not a lawyer. I just told you I'm not a lawyer. Why would you come up to me? Drug deal gone wrong. He stabbed 6 people and he castrated them. He castrated them. He cut off their private parts. He's sitting there right next to me. And then he tells me he's in solitary confinement for 6 years. They just let him out of solitary confinement. And in 6 years, he's read all of these fictional stories in there. Like, the amount of books that he's read is God Lord knows. I mean, he could finish the entire teachings of the Buddha in those 6 years. Became an arahant. All right, I detect no evil in that guy. I don't think he's ever going to kill again. I have adjudicated as such. The old guy shot his neighbor, killed him. That's not very violent, right? Not incomparable to the castration, not incomparable to the other types and evils that we have learned and profiled throughout the entirety of our life. So I get real close to this old guy. I mean, he's really old. I mean, he can't choke me out. That's just how old he is, you know? And he's deaf. He's like, he has to go like this when you talk to him. So I get really close to him so that he can hear me, because he couldn't hear. And I just wanted to zoom in on his eyes for a second. Oh, man, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. You know the black hole?
Wow.
Or the galaxy? The galaxy? You know how it spins in black? His was glassy black. And it was literally spinning. Like that.
Wow.
And I looked into his eyes and I realized he will kill again. The guy that killed 6 people is not going to kill again. But this old one, you let him out, it's over. You get a hold of an RPG, it's over. It's over. Every available SWAT in Florida is coming. You just test them out. Maybe take them to a remote place, take the handcuffs off, and give them a couple of explosives and RPGs. He'll shoot them at you. Oh man. Okay, so TikTok, don't ban me because I've been giving really descriptive descriptions. I apologize. Hopefully that does not violate community guidelines and standards. You get what I'm saying? Anger left unresolved will morph into evil. Eventually, because this is a story, we concoct all sorts of story in our heads. Right? What I mean? And the old guy, I'm not sure what happened, but whatever story that has happened, I don't know, George was remorseful after his anger, his episode of anger. And he wants to change. And he has changed. It's a rare thing that a murderer comes up around me without me feeling it. The old guy, I don't know what kind of story he's been telling himself and be aware of the story that you tell yourselves. Okay, Professor Harari warned people about that. The stories that people that led to war. Okay, the war in Ukraine right now and Russia is as a direct result of a story that they believed and made up in their head to conquer another region, to conquer another country. Russia does not need more land, right? It's a story they want to believe. See, the problem with right thought or wrong thought and wrong intentions as a direct result of wrong view. People made up these stories. All right, I think you guys are smart enough to put all that together. How that is a big anatomy of the human's mind's mess. The mess that resides in the mind, right? Very terrible. Very, very terrible. So therefore, you must make it a goal in this lifetime. I just ran across that chapter. The unconditioned is the unconditioned mind, which is unconditioning your mind from the anger, all the one that we all have had.
And it comes from wanting, right? Desire, basically. So
Yeah.
Back to the first noble truth.
Yeah.
Cool.
And talk about respect. You sat there when someone came up and made a joke to me at the restaurant.
Yeah, I sat there.
And did you see how your teacher handled it?
That's why I said I'm more prepared when the Maras come.
And what happened if I had the standpoint of they should respect me, they have to respect me, and blah, blah, blah.
It would have been a Royal Rumble.
You know that little story in my head, I'm important, I am this, I'm that, I'm the freaking Pope of Buddhism, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm God. Like, how dare you speak to God like that? You know, a lot of people have that mentality where they really think that they're God. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, a lot of pastors in the past who were able to reel in millions of people following them, and they basically self-declared. They basically said that I am the son of God and God sent me and I'm doing the will of my Father. And I was like, oh great, here we go, here comes the ego, here we go. All right. So it's my hope that, again, identification of a problem, a new desire, a desire to resolve that. It's the right desire. Not all desires are bad. The desire to eradicate what's keeping you from being peaceful is a good, appropriate, temporary desire. And just do it. Just like the rest of us. Just like Venerable Lee. It's beautiful to think of the word unconditioned as described in this book, because we're so exhausted as a result of being conditioned. Like, why do we lay in bed all the time? Not just you, but everybody else too. Everybody else too. Really, right? Because we've been conditioned, right? Well, we've been conditioned to be lazy. We've been conditioned to recycle stories in our head. We're not good enough. We're bad. We're lazy. We're like all this story. Like, where the hell did that come from? Where'd you hear it from? Who told you? And why did you ended up believing it? Right? And that's one of the 5 desires, actually, is sleep. It's one of the desires. It's okay. And so therefore, and the hindrances the 5 hindrances also.
You want to know them? No.
I know them. I just want to.
No, I know that. I'm just Turper, yeah, that's the sleepy affiliation.
The right effort, enthusiasm to cultivate confident, energetic, and well-measured attitude towards the undertaking. The effort to prevent unwholesome thoughts from arising. The effort to reject unwholesome thoughts once they have arisen. You realize that I'm going to reject. It's an offer. Mara offered you to be angry. Will you accept or will you reject? Never thought about it that way, did you? No different than promotion at work. Will you accept or will you reject? Did they give you that option?
They didn't ask me, but I guess I did.
Do you want to sue?
No.
But typically they're supposed to ask.
Maybe they did. I don't remember. I said we would like to offer, so I guess it's an offer.
Oh, so you have. Reject. So yeah, so this is why you have to kind of stop and look at some of these words in here and know what they mean and think about it a little bit further and be a little creative with them. A lot of people can just glance through that and be like, oh, the effort to reject. It takes effort to reject because you're resisting the desire. Effort to reject unwholesome thoughts once they have arisen, once it's already there. The effort to cultivate wholesome thoughts. The effort to maintain wholesome thoughts once they have arisen. So once something is going good, like exercise, keep going. Make it into a habit every day to walk 30 minutes or jog 30 minutes or something like that. The effort to maintain. Beautiful words. Well cultivated. Any questions from any of you so far? No?
No, it's in.
Okay. We wrap up this Sunday in conclusion of talking about partial of the Noble Eightfold Path, the discussion of anger, the arising of anger, the cessation of anger, the hindrance, and the application of right effort towards the hindrances. And it is Pride Month, so as you all are very well tuned in to TikTok, where we have published where we were yesterday at Pride Parade. Short 30 minutes at Pride Parade. We did not party at Pride Parade. We did not participate in Pride Parade. We went there to visit, make videos, and ran away. Ran away very quickly. I was scared to death because I'm not sure how many are drunk and how many are not drunk, and we already had one of his friend who is a female touched him, so that's why I ran away. But anyway, we had a lot of fun. I'm just kidding. We had a lot of fun, and I met a couple of TikTok fans out there. I don't know who's following me, who's not. So they were like, can we take pictures with you? I took pictures of that. Stay safe, be well, meditate often on the Dhamma. This is the one philosophy that does not discriminate if you're a man, woman, gay, straight, transgender, bisexual, you name it. The whole shebang. Black, white, Puerto Rican, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. So Buddhism is pretty awesome. think all of us can use more peace in our life with what's happening in the world. So we got a lot of things to do after resolving ourselves to also look at climate change. That's next to discuss. May you all be well, be happy, be free, and always be healthy. Sa tu.